Most guitar players spend years stuck in the same place, watching YouTube videos and practicing the wrong things. But there is a way you can get ahead of 99% of guitarists, and no one is really talking about this. So in this video, I will talk about it. I'll cover the 4 steps you need to have in place, because if you miss only one of them, that's the reason you are stuck. My name is Simon, I've been playing guitar for over 15 years, have a degree in music, and built a learning platform playwithaplan.com, where guitar players are improving every day. A little side note before we start. This video is about the whole guitar learning process, so we're not zooming in on specific things like, for example, how to play the shapes of the major scale, but you'll get crystal clarity on exactly what you should do next on guitar and how, so you can actually improve faster. Alright, let's start with step 1, and this requires a little story, so get yourself something nice to drink. A few years ago, I worked as a guitar teacher at a music school, and I had 34 guitar students every week. Some of the guitar students were quite good. They had really good technique, good knowledge of the fretboard, and could play quite hard songs. Then, amongst those 34 students, I also had some less skilled students. They were not as good, but that's totally fine because they were earlier in their guitar journey as well. But here's the interesting thing. Some of the less skilled students actually sounded better than the more advanced students. And I figure out why. The less skilled students played with more conviction, and they put more emotion into their playing. Because here's the thing, if you don't believe in your own playing, it will be really hard for other people to believe in your playing. If you mentally hold yourself back, maybe you don't think you are good enough yet, then you will actually sound worse as well. This stuff is actually more important than you would think. At the same time, I understand this belief stuff can sound very vague. So therefore, I want to give a very specific exercise, which is amazing for this. Let's say I just learned the first shape of the pentatonic scale. And now we want to improvise, but it sounds something like this. That didn't sound great. The challenge is that there are so many different options and so many different notes you can play, and this can be very overwhelming. To fix this, we want to simplify and just make it as simple as possible. To do that, I'm going to limit myself to only these 4 notes. So that's the 5th and 7th fret of the D and G string. Now listen to this. That's much better, because when you focus on fewer notes, it's not as overwhelming, so it's just way easier to be confident. Let's try the same, but now use the top 4 notes instead. So that's going to be the 5th and 8th fret of the 2 highest strings. Listen to this. Sounds good, and it's a very good exercise. So if you ever feel insecure or overwhelmed, try to simplify. For example, limit yourself to only a few notes. Next, let's go to step 2. When you try to get better on guitar, it's usually very messy. You don't know exactly what you should do in order to get the best results. The typical way to learn guitar is just to watch loads of YouTube videos and hope for the best. This is a terrible approach, but it's so easy to fix, so let's do that. The first thing you need to do is to ask yourself, what do you really want? Because that will decide what you should work on. Maybe you just want to play your favorite songs on guitar. Then you should learn a lot of songs. Or maybe you want to become a great jazz musician and improviser. Then there are completely different things you need to practice. Or maybe you have a more vague goal, something like become the best guitarist possible. That's a totally valid goal. Let's keep working with this goal as an example. So at this point, you know exactly what you want to achieve on guitar. Now you want to create a roadmap of the best way to actually get there. This depends on your specific goals, but if you just want to become the best guitarist possible, I've already made a roadmap for that. I'll not go through it in this video, because that will take a while. but you can just click the link in the description to get it for free. It shows you exactly what to learn on guitar from beginner to pro. Having a clear roadmap is crucial, but still, most people actually skip it. But if you don't have it, you're basically just guessing, and that's just way harder. But when you have your roadmap, it's very clear exactly what you should work on at all times. Next, you need to actually learn the stuff in the roadmap. Let's say you had a look at the roadmap and figure out you want to learn the 5 shapes of the pentatonic scale. Then you obviously need to learn the shapes from somewhere. So you need some kind of lesson to actually learn the thing. That could be online courses, guitar teachers, YouTube videos, memberships, blogs, or similar. And after I've got some new knowledge, it's time for step 3. This is where you should spend most of your time. Let's say you just watch a YouTube video and learn the 5 shapes of the pentatonic scale. Maybe you play through the shapes once, and then you think it's all good. But surprise, you don't get good at guitar by just watching videos. You also need to practice the scale shapes. Very strange, I know. But how do you actually do that? Like specifically? I'm glad you asked, because there are 2 different things you want to do. The first one is some kind of exercise. After you have got some new knowledge in a lesson, you need to actually practice the thing. And a good way to do that is to find or create some good exercises to practice the thing, and then you just practice. It doesn't have to be exercises. It could, for example, be just messing around with a scale shape. That's also a good way to practice. But the key thing is that you have to actually play and practice the thing you want to improve. The second thing you want to do is some kind of challenge. Because the end goal is not to just play exercises, but we want to play real music. The exercises are just good for actually practicing the thing and improving the thing. But in a challenge, you want to actually use your new skills in real music. A challenge could, for example, be improvising over a backing track. Next, it's time for step 4. Learning guitar takes time. It's actually a bit like going to the gym. You need to stick for it long enough so it actually works. You don't have one gym session and then get loads of muscles, but you need to have many gym sessions for a long time so it actually has time to work. But if you have been practicing for quite a while, quite consistently, but you are still kind of stuck, then you need to fix either your beliefs, knowledge, or action, because one of them is the reason you are stuck. In the next video, I'll share 5 of my most valuable lessons you can use straight away, so you can get results faster. Bye.